Okay, we're going to talk about commonly misused pronouns and contractions, and this relates to IXL's U.5 proficiency. Okay, so let's start by breaking down each of these words. There's pronouns, and then there's contractions. Okay, pronoun. If I were to say John went to the store, I could replace John, which is my noun, with a pronoun. He went to the store, right? So that's all a pronoun is. Pronoun is a way to replace a noun. And that's good, right? If we have a long sentence, we don't want to say, John went to the store. When John got there, John bought something. John put it in John's car. I mean, that would sound silly. So eventually we need to replace John with a pronoun so that we're not sounding redundant or robotic. So that's the basic for what a pronoun is. A contraction is when you squeeze something together. So, for example, we are going to the store could be contracted to we're going to the store. You can probably think of some other contractions. They're awesome, because that's a contraction of they are awesome. Geez, there's so many. How's the weather? How is the weather, right? We're contracting how and is. Now the problem comes when we have a pronoun and a contraction that sound really, really similar. And in particular, this relates to possessive pronouns. So a possessive pronoun would be one that shows that someone owns or has something. So John got in John's car. Sounds a little bit silly. You'd probably say John got in his car, right? And in this sentence, his is a possessive pronoun. We're replacing John's, which is a possessive noun, with a pronoun. Now in his, we don't need to do this, right? We don't need to add an apostrophe there. His is possessive without adding that. And there's some other words that don't need an apostrophe either. Is this John's? Could be replaced to is this his, but it could also be replaced to is this yours? Okay, and in yours you don't need to do this. Maybe it's not yours, maybe it's my friend's. Is it theirs? Okay. These are all ways of using a possessive pronoun. Is it hers is another one as well. And as I was saying, the problem comes when we have a possessive pronoun, such as theirs or their, which sounds a lot like a contraction. And this is really commonly confused. So let's just do a quick example. What's wrong with this sentence? They're going to their car over there. Of course, this only catches one of the mistakes. They are going to their car over there. Well, the problem is that we're using possessive pronouns in the place of contractions. What we're trying to say with this there is they are, right? So if we're going to use they are, then the contraction for is what we should be using in this sentence. They're going to John's car. No, it's not John's car. Is it his car? No, it's their car. This is our possessive. Their car. Over, and then this is a preposition, over there. Okay. Another one. Is this your dog? What we're actually saying here is, oops. Sorry. What we're actually saying here is this your dog, right? Because your is a contraction for you are. So instead we want the possessive. Your dog. So the big question we have to ask ourselves is it possessive or is it a contraction? Now let's get to the most difficult one, which is its. So what do you do here? The dog wagged its tail. Now this is, in my experience, the most commonly confused one because we see words like he went to John's house. The word John here, John's. We're so used to seeing an apostrophe S for words that are possessive, where somebody owns something. But its falls into the same category as all these. Is that its tail? This its does not need apostrophe for the same reason that yours doesn't need an apostrophe, or hers doesn't need an apostrophe, or theirs doesn't need an apostrophe. This is a special type. None of these need apostrophes. When do you need an apostrophe? Well, when it's a contraction for it is. Okay? As in, it's a beautiful day outside. Okay? Because it is a beautiful day. Its would be ownership. So it would look like this. Okay? Those are basically the rules, so let's do some examples and see if we can identify them. The volcano has huge masses of lava flowing down its. Is it his slope? Is it their slope? No, it's its slope. This is a possessive. And for the same reason, we don't need to change it here. For its tail, or her tail, or his tail, or their tail. We don't need to change it here. Local authorities have already begun to evacuate the area and they're urging. So, this would be replaced with they are urging, right? And remember, if we have they are, then we can contract it. There. They chose the wrong there here. The dress you designed is gorgeous, Leah, Anna said. You're the only person I know who's able to make such elaborate dresses from scratch. All right, I'm glad we got this one because there's a contraction I forgot to talk about. This is the first mistake. This is saying you are the only person, right? And if we have you are, let's contract that to your. Let's talk about whose. I forgot all about this one. Get some space here. So what's the difference between these two words? Well, let's use the same rules. Remember, this is, for these types of words, a contraction. Who's that man? Who is that man, right? But whose is different. Whose shoes are these? This is not who is shoes are these. This is asking possession. Maybe another way to think about this is this sentence. These shoes are whose? Or is it, let's do some other examples. These shoes are his. These shoes are hers. These shoes are theirs. All of these possessives don't have an apostrophe, right? And whose wouldn't either. All right. You're the only person I know who's able. Let's just try to say who is able, right? And so if we're using who is, as in who is that man, we're going to use a contraction. The Harpers collect rainwater on their. Is it on his property, on her property? It's on their property. We need the possessive. And use it to flush the toilet. It is an easy way, right? It is, let's contract it. How was your visit? This is saying how was your visit, right? So let's change it to your. Isn't its collection? This is saying isn't it is collection. So let's change it. In 2014, 2 female statues were uncovered in an ancient tomb in Greece. Whose entrance? This is kind of the tactic we're using here. We're taking the word and we're just breaking it apart if it's a contraction. And if you do that, it generally will show you whether it makes sense or not. Uncovered in an ancient tomb in Greece, who is entrance? Well, no. It's a possessive. Whose entrance had been blocked by a wall of stones. Their discovery. Ownership. Okay. Theirs fits into the same realm as his discovery or her discovery or its discovery. Whose discovery? Their discovery. This is the possessive. Do you really know what's on your plate? Possessive. This is saying what's on your plate. It is certainly common. So we're good. Who is a frequent guest? They are writing all about. So they are. I'm going to contract that and do that. Looking at this photo, you are likely. So I would do that. Let's contract it. You're likely to be surprised. But it is actually Nevada. So it's. The Richmonds were concerned when they discovered that their daughter, ownership, who is just 7, right? Who is just 7 years old, had been sleepwalking. A new light bulb uses sensors to adjust its hue, to adjust his hue, her hues. This is perfect. It's a possessive. The hue is owned by the light bulb. The light is bluish to help your body. I would say you are body. That doesn't make sense. These chairs and dressers may look quite plain, but they are easily customized. They are. Whose new book? This would say who is new book. No, that's not right. Whose new book? If you are ever, right? It is an experimental. Okay. We're going fast, so hopefully we won't make any mistakes here. Their fabric, not his fabric, not her fabric, their fabric, was made from glass microfibers, and each suit was hand sewn by seamstresses whose stitches. Good. That looks like a photograph of Uncle Dave, but it is not him. That is actually a photo of your grandfather when he was younger. Ooh, interesting. All right, let's sum up. So this one was fairly simple. It's just a matter of understanding that possessive pronouns don't have S's, right? Yours, his, its, hers, whose. Any of those don't have that. And if you do see an apostrophe in these kinds of cases, such as it is or their, it's a contraction.